Good morning, everyone. Are we all warmed up for the first session of day 2? Do we have your support? Whatever we say, we got intent listening? Brilliant. All right. So if you've had your coffee, we're going to warm up some great innovation from India. We're talking about India, right? Last few years, it's a crucible of, it used to be services at one point of time. What is it now? Innovation. We're talking about many emerging tech. Well, all of those you will hear very soon as the transformative ideas are going to unravel. You will see a lot of that tech kind of in between these two startups. So when I talk to Kavita, I'm just wondering, is there any technology she's left? She takes AR, VR, and you bundle anything, and you know that's part of what she does. And then, if that's not enough in a digital commerce space, and you think, I'm tired. Why do everything at the click of a button? Now I want to fly. Well, then there is Aerospace. And then we've got, so Maruthi, I'm confused. Should I call you Maruthi or Amar? Because our entire conversation was Amar, and now I see Maruthi thrown in. You go by Amar, so we're going to call him Amar. Sorry, easy for everyone? Yeah, no, Maruthi is good too. We love that. But we'll go with Amar. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We'll have some interesting questions, and hopefully you'll enjoy the answers as we do, right? My job is only to get the best out of them. Lovely. Should we start with the lady first? Though you're in my close proximity, but I have an affinity, a bias. Kavita, I'll start with you, and it's called KiKsAR, right?
Yes.
Lovely. So you were talking about outstanding stuff, right? In terms of like every possible emerging tech that you bundled, and you're talking about 3D at scale. We barely have understood 3D, right? And you're talking about digital twins. Fascinating world, Kavita. So why don't you open for our audience and give them a nice coffee shot, espresso shot of what you do, and how is that helping customers win revenue or more customers?
Okay. Thank you, Supria. So basically, KiKsAR creates immersive experience for brands, and we are into fashion retail. So the biggest problem for fashion retail was to keep up to their speed of releasing new fashions. So what we do is, like if you take example of Gucci, they release every 3 months a new brand. Now, if you have to create the 3D twin of it, you need to be at the same speed. So what KiKsAR did was that we created a 3D pipeline which helps us to create at scale and then keep up to the speed of the fashion brands. So that is what we have done. And once the 3D twin is created for any of the thing, you can do a lot of things with it. We can do allow the end consumer to do a virtual try-on, that basically try before you buy. You can also allow them to personalize it, because we heard about Nike, that shoes which earned much more than the value of the shoes, basically because customer could play with it. And that is only possible if you could create a 3D twin of it. So that is what we are enabling brands to do it. And we have been doing that for 5 years. And now some of the marquee customers are there with us for the 5 years. One of them is Titan in India. And in US, one of the largest jeweler. So we are across all the categories, starting from eyewear, jewelry, shoes, apparel. Right now, we are trying to disrupt the apparel industry, because in apparel, again, each category, let it be men, women, children, is a business by itself. So we have started doing that, and in that, we have created a generative AI platform which helps us to create 3D at scale and then do a try-on. So that is what Supriya was telling, that first you think how to create 3D at scale, then try-on, and in that, KiKsAR is trying to help create the physics, the dynamics, how apparel falls on the body and how you can visualize. Because a lot of the digital commerce, the challenge or the problem they have is the returns. And return is basically because you are not able to understand the fit and fall, the texture of the cloth. So we are trying to solve that and create the disruption in that. And in return, you can also say that we are trying to help the environment, because if you create the digital product first, visualize it, you are also helping in sustainability, because a lot of resources gets wasted in doing the sampling. So this is what is KiKsAR working, and we hope to help the environment in the future.
Outstanding. Kavita, I'm not going to let you go, and Amar, I'm going to come to you in a second. You also spoke about the eyewear, right? As to how, we're all looking at what fits us, what's fashionable, and of course, an eyewear is a necessity. But you spoke about breaking into that market during COVID times. Do you want to spend a minute on that?
Yeah, so we started our company in 2018, and then when we built the product of the first category, eyewear, And then we started doing the GTM. That was in 2019, August, our first customer went live. And when we started the full throttle, we pressed the pedal that we can start going international. 2020 March, we were all stuck with COVID. And during that time, the challenge was three challenge for KiKsAR. As a co-founder, I had to keep my team intact because you don't want to leave the team whom you have trained for last 1.5 years. Get revenue, and then keep innovating. So what we did was, yes, we could not get a lot of revenue during that time because we could not reach out to customers. Whatever we could, we did. But what we did is we created all the category or all the IP during that time. And because of that, one breakthrough was the largest jeweler of US we got onboarded. So they basically, for that customer, we basically personalized the engagement ring. You can take an engagement ring, you can personalize it on their website as well as in store, and then they can buy it. So this is what we said that, and during this time, you cannot imagine, we had calls at 2 o'clock in the night, and we used to sneak into our office because it was locked down, and had to attend because we had to get all our team together because all of us were in different places and we could not get all the hardware which we do to do the demos. So it was a real tough time, but what we understood is resilience and perseverance. Don't give up. Like, there will be hardships, but do not give up, because at the end, we saw the silver lining that we could create the beautiful product line, and we have almost now 75 plus brands on KiKsAR's platform.
Outstanding. What a story. Thanks so much, Kavita.
Thank you.
Digital commerce to aerospace, Amar. And you talk about making aerospace, airline, the entire experience affordable and sustainable. How do you do that?
Yeah, first of all, inspiring to hear your story. Coming to myself, so we are BluJ Aero, and at BluJ Aero, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make aviation simple and sustainable. That's the whole mission for the company. And the real vision of the company is, again, to reduce the transportation time for both human and cargo by at least 3 times. And how we are going to do that is by building vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, which can carry which can go for long range and carry heavy payloads. So that's the whole reason why we exist. And why we say simple and sustainable is, so simple is something, aviation, as we all know, there are a lot of complexities that are involved in aviation operations today. So we wanted to really simplify these things by eliminating a lot of legs within aviation, be it cargo, where goods goes from the source to the destination. If you see the amount of legs that the goods goes through, so we want to eliminate, we want to minimize the number of legs there. And at the same time, if you're looking at passengers, we see that a lot of time that we spend is actually not on the aircraft. So we spend only 25% of the total journey time on the aircraft and rest on going to the airports, check-ins and everything. So these are the 2 things that we wanted to simplify. And when we say sustainable, that again comes in 2 angles. So for us, sustainable means the first and foremost sustainability for any business is the business has to be surviving and sustainable for a long run. And on top of it, of course, always we have to look at the climate side of things, and we're looking at zero emission aircraft as well. So that's where sustainability comes in.
Outstanding. You know what surprises me? I don't know if you are all on the same page. They're doing such great work and with such humility. I think I'm far more excited asking them questions, and they're just saying it, yeah, we do this, we do that, right? You just see it's like, been there, done that. Amazing. I'm going to stay with you a little longer, Amar, and I want to get the excitement out to say, you were talking about, let's talk about what are you replacing today? Sure. What are the different use cases, so that we all know it's aviation, we all know consumer, our experience is either cargo or passenger. Sure. So talk to us a little bit about your journey as to what you're starting with today. Sure. And where you finally plan to go.
Yeah, so even if I was talking about the real long-term vision of carrying humans on aircraft and making it really simple for humans to go from place A to place B, at the same time we also have to be very practical on how we're going to approach it. And that's where we are starting with a cargo aircraft, which you can call it as a drone as well. So we are categorizing that as a drone because in India, we have any autonomous aircraft which can be less than 500 kgs total mass can be certified as a drone. So for all practical purposes, we are starting with a drone where all the technology that we're going to build on the major aircraft going forward, which will be like hydrogen electric propulsion and VTOL technologies, everything will be proven on our drone. And at the same time, there is a huge gap that exists for cargo even today, which I'll get into to your question on what we're going to replace, right? So we thought we'll start early with the cargo market where the market is ready, and at the same time technology is at a smaller scale that we can develop, and at the same time regulations are more easier to get through. And the full stack of technology and even getting to the business very early, all these things will be developed here, and eventually we'll move on to the larger aircraft. And coming to what we're looking to replace immediately is, if you look at cargo transportation in India, a lot of that, like a lot of cargo still goes to, I think it's more than 95% today goes to road, only less than 5% goes to air. Even on the road, if you see the amount that a customer pays is actually much more than what it actually costs for just if you look at per ton kilometer or per kg kilometer, whatever terms we call it in the logistics industry, right? So we wanted to minimize this difference by minimizing the number of legs that everything goes through and reducing the amount of effort that goes through human intervention in that. And that's where we can eliminate a lot of these inefficiencies and reduce the cost and make it economical and faster. But that being said, any technology when it is in its infancy is not going to be cheaper. It's going to be a little expensive. So what we initially will be replacing is all the cargo that is being handled by helicopters today. So that is going to be our first entry to market. And at the same time, we see a lot of requirement for Indian defense, which again coming from the nationalistic standpoint. So we'll be contributing there as well. And slowly going forward, our strategy is to get into then use cases in the commercial sector where people are ready to pay a little bit more on the premium side and eventually get into even the regular e-commerce in the long run.
Awesome, awesome. All the best for that. You've got great plans, and well, I'll say competition, watch out. You're going to be here very soon disrupting market. Kavita, coming to this, we have this entire concept which is called Born Global. By the way, that's my PhD research area. It's fascinating. Born Global, you're born wherever, but you're, probably made in India, but for the world. It's entirely when your market is global from day one, and that's exactly where your business fits in. So if I were to do a thesis, I'll probably bring your company in. Talk to us about when you're looking at making anywhere, but then you're catering to the developed world. We still haven't got the ED, we are still in IN stage, right? So is there any difference in terms of quality? Is there any difference in terms of extra cost that you need to do? Talk to us about that as to how is it that you cater to developed world in terms of quality and absolute top line tech.
Okay. So our product, as I said, we developed in India, and it was during COVID. And then what we did was, if you ask, India is the biggest population. So for us, when we develop a product, our focus was that it has to be global. But what good happened was, because it was COVID and I could not reach to international market, we first deployed in India. So the major eyewear sector, basically the spectacles and all, we are the market leaders in eyewear. So what we did is, in India, nothing can beat the India's performance if you have to do, how does your product perform in a large scale and all. We have no questions asked, because we said we are deploying to A, B, C customers of India. So load-wise, customer-wise, how the customer will be, using it session-wise, we had no questions, because we tested in the largest population in the world. And then, but our focus was not that we give, because our product is show and tell. We have to show it. For us, selling just takes 5 minutes, believe me. We close a deal, we go to the CMO, I go and I present, or my sales team goes and presents, and then they either like it or they don't like it. It's just binary. I don't have that, okay, I'm going to configure it, I'm going to create the database and, change the layout and do it. Nothing. So then it was a very critical point for us that we had to keep the quality. And here, what we are saying is, I'm creating a digital twin of the product. Now think of it, if you're buying an engagement ring, and I do not represent the actual of it.
The guy is gone, or the woman is gone.
So then I had to think of that, how do we create that realistic digital twin? So for us, quality was the utmost important. Like I just said that, we create 3D at scale. We finished creating the models, like 1,000 models we can create. I'm just talking statistics for the eyewear. I can create 1,000 models in 20 minutes. But we spent 3 days in just doing the testing. Basically, quality certification. When I say testing, I don't run like, okay, what is the functionality of it? Because it's a 3D digital twin. But every aspect of it, because the way the diamond has to be rendered or the way the texture has to be done. Our team, actually, we have created some 100 parameters, and based on that, they do the testing. So quality-wise, we had to match the global because it's show and tell business for us. And if a customer doesn't perceive, like, you know, there are times when somebody said, oh, your product looks cartoonish. That's it. After that, I did not get a second chance to go and present in front of it. So we had to be very particular. So now also, if we are getting customers or brands, it's only because of the quality and the realism which we represent. That is how we have been able to sustain customers. My customer attrition is very low for us. Once we onboard a customer, we are having the journey with us. But yes, it is meant for global, from India to global.
Outstanding. And quality is obviously like the default. It's written.
Yes.
You know, irrespective of which market you're selling in.
Yes.
Outstanding. Thanks, Kavita, for that. I'm going to quickly come to both of you, and I'm going to begin with Amar now. It's amazing how time flies. What's the India story here? And when you look at competition in the aerospace, we're talking about drones now. It's fairly new on the scene, but I'm sure the market is going to be dense in no time, give it a few years. So how is it when you're building in India, but you look at the global competition to say where in terms of your own technology do you stand, Amar? What do you see as the challenge when you look at entire competitive global landscape?
Sure. So even before I answer that, I would say from India, we do have, this is something that I personally believe, that we do have a small window of opportunity in the new age of electrification, both in automotive, aerospace, or even any other industries. We do have a small window of opportunity where we can actually make a good impact on the world, not just for the country. And we have to make the full use of this opportunity. It's just my personal belief, and that's why we haven't got into this industry in the first place, right? And coming to what is it that we can do as a country and what is the advantage that we have. Of course, we do have a lot of challenges where we still lack the supply chain, or still lack the maturity of the talent for these industries. But at the same time, when we look at the cost of a similar aircraft, what we are trying to build, that can be produced in other countries, I mean, all the developed countries, I would say, we can produce them at a fraction of cost, like at least 1/4 or 1/5, and not compromising on the quality. And at the same time, we don't really want to go out and say we are economical. So we want to compete on the technology. We want to prove them that we are on par or better on technology. And in addition with that, we are also giving it for lesser cost.
So this sounds very good, but if you were to say one or two very tangibles, to say these are one or two things that you're doing to make this vision come true. It's great to say cost is of course going to be always there, and we're glad we have that advantage.
So if you
but
see,
what
one
are
of
you
the
doing?
things that we have done compared to many other drone competitors out there, or aerospace competitors out there, the majority of the competition that we see, most of them are more like integrators. They're buying a lot of the components and integrating, which is good. That is a different business model altogether. But we have taken a long shot view. So we are not saying that we want to just put something together and get to the market tomorrow and see, but we have taken a harder view and a longer path where we are developing a lot of the technologies in-house.
So we see a lot of patents in view coming in future?
Yeah, that's going to happen. So
Brilliant.
for example, if you look at hydrogen fuel cell technology, we are looking to develop hydrogen fuel cell and battery system together, which is going to give the highest power density on par with anybody else in the world. So that might take us longer than what we plan to be, but at the same time, that is going to create a larger value for the company in the long run, and at the same time, technology out of India, which can serve for the world. And similarly, we are building all the aircraft in-house. We are not outsourcing anywhere. And that's because, again, coming from twofold. One is, we do have our deep understanding of how to build these systems, one thing, and at the same time, we feel that that gives us in the long run a large part of control over quality, budget, timeline, and technology improvements. So we'll have flexibility to improve technology, flexibility for iterations. So similarly, a lot of other systems, like we are building in-house very consciously, even if we know that is going to be a harder path, just because of all the reasons that I was trying to say, right? So these are just few examples that I could say.
So Amar, it's in summary, and I'm sorry, it's a reductionist view, very simplifying it, but it's like design as much as in India, build your patents, file your patents, and kind of, create those barriers, hopefully. And then of course, make in India and all that. So you're like the poster child of a PM right now, right?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's a long, long way for us there. We just started, but eventually the whole dream, you can call, is to do that. So to actually build something and show to the world that we can do from here.
Oh, absolutely you will. Congratulations and all the best.
Thank you.
Kavita, again, competition. And how is it that you're ahead, superior, and how do you plan to keep that, if I may call Mr. Porter, in competitive advantage?
Yeah. So first USP of KiKsAR we have is that we are into multiple categories. We have competition for each category. But if a digital commerce comes to us, they get the complete gamut of all the categories. So that is one. And then the way we create the digital twin, that is the biggest USP for us, because most of the time the technology right now exists, or the competitors using it, they do a scan technology. They basically scan the product. That means the brands have to send their physical product and then create the digital twin. We just ask for 2 images. We don't even ask for send us hundreds of images, because those images are used for just the reference. We don't use that image to create the digital twin. So keeping these two in mind, we obviously offer competitive price. I'd not say that we are cheap. No, we are not cheap, because a lot of technology has gone into it, and I need to sustain my team. So it's competitive. And then holistically, I do not have a single competitor. I have, in each category, there are competitors which we have to do. And just to give, like, to feel proud of it, a few of the competitors have reached out to us to work with us, or to acquire us, or help them give the thing. Like one of our competitors in India, we are actually enabling them with the 3D twin, and they are our competitors. So we don't feel that we are threatened, because the technology we have built, if anybody, I'm not saying nobody can do it, but yes, we have the journey that at least they need to take 2 to 3 years, and the team, because when we started it, this technology was very nascent. So I had to get teams from different functions, AR, VR, 3D, AI, and then train them and then do it. So even if a experienced person come, they need to put their minds and create this pipeline, and that surely takes 2 to 3 years. So we are ahead of our curve. And then yes, funding is one thing which was constrained for us. Why would I say? Because we were not the in the the usual canvas what the funding people look for, the VCs look for. We were little, because it was a niche technology.
Why didn't you give us the punchline that you have here?
So it was a niche technology. So then what we said is, fine, we build the technology and we show it to world, because another thing, like Supria said, India was always called out for the services. There are very few companies which have been, India has been called out that this product comes from India. So we would like to build the product from India and take it globally. So what we did is we got the funding from friends and family. Until now, basically bootstrap and friends and family. And then last year, I mean maybe this year, we got one of the VCs finally to agree to us and give, but we did not take it. We had some reasons for it that we did not take it. And then now we are on our journey towards getting to that 10 million revenue.
I promise, Kavita, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's a big one. I think that's brilliant. Thank you. I promise, Kavita, I'm not going to do a women in tech, women entrepreneurs. We get so little funding. And she told me, if you ask me any question in that, I'll just get up and walk away. Do we want to? And so I'm not touching that, but I'm saying, I'm going to still use that and flip it to the opposite side to say, wow, saying no to a term sheet? Well, that's big. God bless you, and continue to do well. We are almost on the last 1.5 minutes, so you know the clock, you can see it right there, so we wouldn't pass that. We always do it within time. One quick, if you were to leave the audience on a completely high note to say, there's an entrepreneur inside all of us. And what is that inspired you personally? So if you want to share like a 20-second bite-sized comment on that, what would that be?
I think one thing which we have to do is we don't compare yourself with anyone. Create your own journey. Like, I don't need to say that I need to become Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, anybody, because they had their own story. Create your own story and then have that perseverance. I think in the long run, perseverance pays a lot. That is what my mantra is.
Outstanding. I will never say I want to be Kavita. Either. Awesome. Amar?
Yeah, I think just dare to dream big. And it's all about just thinking that you can do and taking that first step. And like you said, stay with it for as long as it's required to get there. I mean,
Outstanding. Don't you love that? If there's any entrepreneur trying to just kind of, come up and show its head outside, well, feed it well. I've been in the corporate 25 years and I just turned entrepreneur yet again, once a failed one. starting a VC fund, and I can tell you I know nothing about it. Sandeep is smiling, he knows how tough the journey is, but I think there are more mountains to climb, and what fascinating stories. So I think continue doing what you haven't done before. That's what New Mornings are all about. So thank you so much. Thank you, NASSCOM. Thank you, team. I hope you enjoyed the session.
For more content on tech and leadership, subscribe to NASSCOM YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.